The one who obtains the key must then travel to the Golden Land in accordance with these rules. What does that mean? Don't solve the riddle, but increase the number. It would be wiser to spend your time solving the epitaph instead of searching for one. If no one can solve the riddle, no one will survive. If the person appears to miraculously solve it, I will give them all the golden land, the Ushimi family inheritance, and all of my power. I was one who succeeded the Ushimi family headship after Kinzo-sama. I look forward to seeing who will succeed to that headship after me. Beatrice the Golden. Hmm. Hmm. Alright. So. Yeah. I don't get it. It shows on it, you will see a village. In that village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. There sleeps the key to the Golden Land. Hello, hello. I don't get it. I don't get it. Just a heads up, I think I have a bit of a cold or some such. Nothing bad, but enough to be bothersome, kind of thing. Alright, so my voice may be a little off or some such. Anywho, I'll continue with the story, I guess. I don't get the riddle. I'm really bad at the really abstract ones. If they got, oh, hello, hello. Well, I will, but it's just annoying. Stuffy nose or something like that. Hello, Beatrice. What cruel horrors are you here to show us today? Or this twilight, I should say, maybe. Well, something like that should do the trick. Beato acted proud, but the new witch wore a blank expression, almost as though this was an anticlimax. Then she said it out loud. It's kinda plain. Not at all like the predecessor Sama Runobe told me about. Well, you must use magic with dignity, right? If it's too, undignified, that isn't very elegant. Even though you're lucky enough to have the magic to do wonderful things endlessly. How boring. Hey, don't complain. The path of the Golden Witch cannot be completed in a day. You are still incomplete until you finish the 10th Twilight. For now, stay quiet and follow my instructions. Got it? What happened to your answer? Your answer. Sure. Very well. That will do. Well, there is still much to do for the resurrection ceremony. You still have to kill 5 people. You should do it without toying with them too much, with beauty and dignity, and at least a little restraint, okay? But Ronave told you about how I did it. That was a bad example. You mustn't use them as a model. Engrave that into your heart. Yes, predecessor-sama. A good answer. Ronave, the 7 Six of Purgatory. Arise. Yes, my lady. I, Ronave, am here. Lucifer of Pride, right here. Up until this point, I've been a little flashy, but, well, the dignity of the Golden Witch is also important. And about that... As Ronave laughed at Beato's uncharacteristically flustered speech, he summoned it up for her. Certainly. From now on, we will be careful to act in a graceful manner, suitable for the name of the Golden Witch. Even the 7 Sisters of Purgatory will reform their bad behavior up until now. And we shall espouse to perform our tasks in the quickest possible manner. Would that be acceptable, my lady? Indeed. That's it, more or less. Everyone, take it to heart. Okay? Yes, certainly. That is all I wish to say. You may leave now. Certainly. If you'd excuse me. Excuse us. Well, that's all I want to say. So, take care as you move forward. Understand? Act with dignity and, restraint, okay? Give it your all. I will be watching over you. Acting awkwardly until the very end, Beato left that message and immediately became a cloud of gold butterflies, hiding her form in the empty air. It may be more accurate to say she vanished in a hurry because she couldn't keep up the conversation. After that, all that remained was Maria's corpse, lying down and pounded by the rain. Rosa's corpse, propped up by the fence and staring up at the sky, and the figure of the witch. Show some restraint, you say. Her expression looked just a little bored. There was a popping sound. It was probably her clicking her tongue. What a boring person. Leaving that last sentence behind, she once again vanished into the empty air. Yeah, that can't possibly go wrong, right? She summed it up perfectly. She'll do what she's told. Zzz. Oh. Looks like she's finally calmed down. Hideyoshi wiped his own forehead. For a time, Eva had seemed to be having a very painful nightmare, but it appeared she'd finally fallen asleep. As promised, he still gripped Eva's hand. He thought it might be time to let go pretty soon, but he faithfully continued to hold on. Every once in a while, his hand would get tired, and he would switch between his right and his left. But even so, as promised, he didn't let go of her hand. At that time, there was a heavy knock. Eva had finally been able to fall asleep, so Hideyoshi grimaced for just an instant. Aniki, Hideyoshi-san, sorry. Is Rosa there? It was Rudolph's voice. What could it be? Hideyoshi headed for the door, hiding his footsteps so that he wouldn't wake Eva. It was definitely Rudolph's voice, but just in case, he opened the door without removing the chain. What is it? Something happened to Rosa-san? We can't find Rosa or Maria-chan. I thought they might be with you. I heard her scolding Maria-chan in the corridor. They got quiet after that, so I thought they'd gone back to the lobby. But did they? That idiot. Rudolph clicked his tongue. Other people could be seen in the corridor. Rosa hadn't returned for a while after going out into the corridor, so they'd begun to worry. Near the front door, Natsuhi pointed at the unset chain. The chain isn't set. They must have gone outside to see that froze after all. How extraordinarily careless, to go out and leave the door unlocked. What a troublesome person. I'm more worried about Rosa-san and Maria-chan themselves. Right. Hey, rats. Where was this rose of Maria's? I'm pretty sure it was in the flower bed right in the middle of the rose garden. If that's where they are, we should be able to spot them pretty quickly if we go. Dad, shouldn't we bring them here? Back here as soon as we can? Of course. We'll bring them back and give them a good spanking. I'll dash out there and come back. Lock the door as soon as I go out. Dad, I'll go with you. Don't be stupid. It's obviously a brat's job to watch over the house with Mama. What is it? Did something happen? Sorry, did I wake you up? It seems Rosa-san took Maria-chan outside. How reckless of her. Rosa and Maria-chan are outside? In the rose garden? That's right. Oh, did you hear? Maria-chan was causing a ruckus because she wanted to see this rose. They mustn't. They mustn't go to the rose garden. Tell Rosa to stop. There's no telling her to stop now. It looks like they left a while ago. Seriously, how reckless of them. That's not it. Not the rose garden. There's a witch there. And she's waiting for a sacrifice. Rosa, you mustn't go. Eva cowered again, holding her head. Her complexion looked very bad. What is it? Did the fever make you dream something bad? It's a dream. Yes. In the rose garden, the witch doing it to Rosa and Maria-chan. That's right. It's a dream. It must be. Calm down. I'm here in this room, and the chain is set. The shutter's closed on the window, and we've even got a gun. This room is just like a fort. There's nothing to be afraid of. Hideyoshi beat his chest trying to calm her, but Eva's insecure expression didn't change. Under the covers, Eva kept praying that the grotesque nightmare she just had was only a dream. In the center of the rose garden, Rudolph identified the corpses of Rosa and Maria. After that, he returned to the guest house, called for help, and carried both of them into the guest house. If we can trust Nanjo's examination, the cause of Rosa's death was a stab to the medulla oblongata with a pointed gate to the fence. It is thought that Maria's death was due to strangling with bare hands. However, due to the devil's proof, we cannot discount a misdiagnosis. I will say it in red. Rosa and Maria died. The causes of death were as Nanjo diagnosed. She wasn't eaten by the spider, nor was she crushed by a mountain of cake. Don't worry. So, you argue that even though you toyed with her death so much, it's all fine because the corpse is neat and clean? I definitely won't forgive you. I definitely won't forget all that brutal treatment you gave Aunt Rosa. So I won't forgive you. like I said, that wasn't me. I believe I gave them a much more peaceful death than the way she treated them. Shut the hell up. I'm not talking to you. It was stated that there are no more than 18 people on this island, and now that 8 people are already dead, we can narrow the field of suspects down to 10. One of them probably killed those 2. Or could it also be an accidental death, like Maria was having a tantrum, and when Edna tried to stop her crying, she misjudged how much power she was using and accidentally killed her. Then she was so upset that she slipped and fell, landed on the fence, and unluckily died. How's that? That way there's no need for a witch or magic. Well, that's not quite true. Actually, Rosa and Maria. Shut up. Didn't I say I wasn't talking to you? You're an eyesore, so disappear, you monster. Battler said that without rage, but with a horribly cold voice. That strange behavior was something Beato had noticed right off the bat. In a fight, both of them could go at each other without restraint. However, he wouldn't even step into the ring. She could feel that coldness. Beato didn't find that amusing. She thought about flaring up, but she held back. Maybe even though she was innocent and childish, she had enough sense to realize that she shouldn't pick fights. Bit late now. Is that so? Then I'll vanish. Runaway, continue for me. Certainly. Will that be satisfactory, Battler-sama? There are no problems with her proposal. If Battler-kun doesn't want to see Beato's face, perhaps that will do. Do what you like. Back into without seeing that monstrous face. I don't care about anything else. Hey, wait a second. You keep saying monster, monster, but isn't that a cruel way to speak of me? Why do you instinctively hate me so much, Battler? Even though none of that was me, even though it was all the work of my disciple. It's not like I'm only mad about what happened just now. It's been like that from the very beginning. Hey, Battler. Don't misunderstand, okay? Aren't we just a pair of players confronting each other through a game? We look for moves to make things painful for each other, but don't get the wrong idea. I don't hate you because you're my rival in this strange game about whether I accept you as a witch or not. I just can't forgive how senselessly cruel you are. Well, the serial murders are a part of this game. It's probably impossible to avoid a little cruelty. I'm not just talking about what just happened. There was the last time, and the time before that too. Tearing everyone's stomach open and stuffing them with sweets, plowing their faces. What was the point of all that? Well, when it comes to closed room murders and tricks and alibis, I'm willing to give you a pass. You want to claim that this is a murder done by magic? So I'll grudgingly accept that those complicated crimes need to occur. But what exactly is the point of all those grotesque murders? Well, nothing much. That's right. They don't mean anything. You're just fooling around by mangling the corpses for fun. That has nothing to do with whether you're a witch, or whether it could or couldn't be done with magic. You're just exploring the depths of cruelty for fun. This isn't about whether you're a witch, or anything like that. There are just some things I can't forgive as a human. Personal style, huh? What do you mean, as a human? For example, the 6 people of the first Twilight for this game. Well, other than Grandfather being burned black, the other corpses were killed in a normal way, without any unnecessary shaming of the dead. It wasn't clear whether their weapon was a spear or a gun, but anyway, As far as killing goes, that was acceptable. It was much better than the nonsensical grotesqueness and cruelty from the first Twilight last time, or the time before that. And this time, there were 6 closed rooms tied together to make a closed room chain. That was sort of interesting. When we were going back and forth with each other that time, to be perfectly honest, I thought it was just a little fun. You were frantic to make me accept your existence, and I was frantic trying to deny it. We were both frantically doing all we could. This may sound weird, but I felt a faint sense of sportsmanship between the two of us. We exist in conflict, but I faintly thought that we might not be completely unable to understand each other's existence. But just now, that feeling was blown away without a trace. That's what you're misunderstanding. That wasn't me. That's not it. That's not what I'm talking about. You watched Aunt Rosa being killed, horribly, over and over, and you sneered at it like it was an interesting show. When I saw that, I was deeply disappointed in you. When I realized that your decision to kill them in a slightly better way this time was nothing more than a faint whim, and that nothing had changed in your cruel character, I was deeply disappointed. On the contrary, you were even genuinely enjoying those brutal deaths. You weren't just acting as cruel as you could to bully me. You truly, genuinely enjoy cruelty. Your character lets you enjoy it. You said I'd probably think that Aunt Rosa being brutally killed over and over was fun. You weren't joking. You enjoyed it from the bottom of your heart, wanted me to sympathize, and said that I'd probably think it was fun. In that instant, I lost respect for you and realized the truth. The problem isn't whether you're a witch or not. I will not forgive that cruelty of yours. And I can't understand it. I can't forgive it either. Still, I'll continue this game of whether to accept or deny witches. I won't step down and accept my own defeat. However, your pointless cruelty is absolutely unnecessary for that game. So I've decided that I won't accept you as my opponent. Ronove is 100 times better. He doesn't have the same cruel hobby you do. Even if he does, he doesn't have the awful taste to show it off in front of me. That's right. You have awful taste. You're heartless and cruel, so you can't understand. That's unpleasant in an opponent. So I don't want to see your face again. As Battler went on and on by himself, Beato was shocked into silence for a long time. Maybe she couldn't understand what she was being told, and this was a sign that she was doing all she could in an effort to understand. For a while, she kept switching between angry expressions, frustrated expressions, bold expressions, as though even she herself didn't know what attitude she should take. In the end, she made her face into candid expression, as though she had come to her senses, and shrugged her shoulders as though she was tired. In that case, do as you like. From now on, I will continue this game through Ronove. Oh, thank you. To reviewers. Oh well. You have no complaints as long as I don't show myself, right? For the time being. But I definitely won't forgive all of your cruel actions up until now. And I definitely won't accept you. For that reason as well, I won't back down from this fight you've picked. And I definitely won't lose. That's all there is to it. Beato? No matter how many more excuses you give, his impression will not waver. I have something to talk about later. Until then, stay back. Indeed. Understood. Then I'll vanish until you call. Looking lonely, Beato turned her back to them and vanished. Battler watched, a slightly displeased expression on his face. He saw that his argument had been valid, but for some reason his mood didn't clear up. He's an idiot. That's true. An idiot, and a straightforward one. That idiot watched Aunt Rosie get killed horribly with me, then turned around with a huge smile on her face. She really believed that she could laugh with me at that cruel show. She really believed that I could sympathize with that emotion. Looking at that innocent smile, I felt just horrible. It would have been much better if she said it with her normal bullying face. Damn it. My lady has never had the experience of having a friend. In addition, she has probably never had something spoken to her that strongly. Madame and I are her attendants. No matter what we say, it will not reach her ears. For my lady, this is also... Don't screw with me. I don't remember even becoming her friend. That's true enough. My apologies. There is one thing I would like to thank you for. Thank you for not backing down from that child's game. He spoke words of gratitude, but for some reason Battler made a displeased face. Then, as though in self-derision, he chuckled. Now that I've even got witches and demons thanking me, I'm screwed. Let's resume the game. Of course, I don't intend to go easy on you. I wouldn't have it any other way. Unlike my lady, I do not get agitated. I've already made my move. If we suppose that Aunt Rosa is the culprit and died in an accident, I can deny the witch. I don't want to suspect Aunt Rosa, but I think I can bear to accept that premise if it'll beat the hell out of Beato. I will deny it in red. Rosa's and Maria's deaths were homicides. Okay, let's start from there. Damn, I'm just not getting fired up. I think that speech was mostly to show Battler's blanking on the word, but unwillingness to accept that cruelty of Beatrice's. Just flat out. And not just because she's a witch or magic or whatnot, but that he has, at this point, completely denied her character, I guess. And not just the magic, or that she's a witch, or the game, but her. With Rosa's and Maria's deaths, it was now clear that the culprit was still hiding somewhere, trying to add even more murders to this chain. As he shed tears, Rudolph scolded Rosa's corpse for being reckless several times. But Rosa would never respond to that again. They decided to place the two corpses in one of the guest rooms and to seal it until the police arrived. The second murder, no, the murder of the second Twilight had delivered a heavy blow to everyone. I think, it hit a breaking point now. Before it was, like he was saying, at least grotesque, but at least willing to give it a pass, but this is one that he just couldn't ever forgive, type of thing. The straw that broke the camel's back, something like that. It had blown away the optimism that some of them had held. The thought that a crime didn't actually occur and it was all a game or a farce by Kinzo and the servants, trying to distract themselves from the loss of the people they liked. George and Jessica had spent the whole time since morning talking about every possibility. And they had distracted their hearts by supposing that these murders might actually all have been an act, and that Shannon and Cannon were only pretending to be dead. When the next murder occurred, it destroyed that thought, and they were once again struck by the fact that the person they liked had most definitely been killed. The tears that they thought had died away began to drip down once more, and Battler couldn't think of anything to say to them. After that, all of the adults checked that all the rooms were safe and locked, just in case. They made certain that the shutters on all the windows were down and locked, and they confirmed that no one suspicious was hiding anywhere. On top of that, they checked their weapons once again, and checked with each other to make sure they were mentally prepared so that they wouldn't hesitate to fire off a preemptive shot if they saw the shadow of a mysterious person. Rose's gun had been found near the scene of the crime. Someone had gone out of their way to leave it there. Everyone suspected that it was some kind of trap. But when Hideyoshi delicately used a fire iron to fire off test shots, it was able to discharge without incident. So, since the 5 shots loaded into it had discharged without any problems, they reloaded it with bullets and handed it over to the only adult male who wasn't armed, Hideyoshi. However, the fact that they had been able to fire off 5 shots gave rise to a certain paranoia. This short-barrel Winchester could only hold 5 shots. In other words, Rosa hadn't fired even once. And yet, the two had probably been killed by someone with their bare hands. This meant there was a possibility that the crime had been committed by someone whose face they knew. When the first murder occurred, I privately thought of the possibilities that it was all an act. My apologies to Dr. Nanjo, but if he had actually been an accomplice, I thought the deaths of all the servants might possibly have been a massive, elaborate act by Father. After all, the closed room situation they were in couldn't have been created unless we supposed that it was all an act. We also suspected that. No. I still want to believe that's the case. My apologies, but that is not so. I am quite old. I might possibly make a misdiagnosis. However, I would never mistake whether they were alive or dead. I get it. Don't go out of your way to say it out loud, Dr. Nanjo. My apologies. They had no way of knowing, but Beato had already used the red to proclaim the deaths of the 6. No, the deaths of all the victims so far in this game. That faint dream that it was all a farce, that the victims were actually alive. I'm sorry to say it, but that's impossible. In that case, it makes more sense to assume it's someone familiar with the mansion. Someone hiding around and carrying out a really well-polished crime. So, ever since the typhoon came to this island and sealed it off from the outside world, there's been more than 18 people here. Of course, there was no way for them to know about that either. That claim of Rudolph's had also been denied and read. There are no more than 18 humans on this island. I might have a way to look at it that keeps things consistent, at least a little. Simply put, this person in hiding is someone who shouldn't really be on this island right now. And yet, there's a likelihood that they were someone Rosa-san knew, someone she'd let her guard down around. So, for example, could it be a servant who wasn't on this 2-day shift? It's hard to be certain about that one. When our servants finish their work and leave the island, it isn't as though we punch their tickets or something just to make sure. If we're supposing that a servant on a shift from a few days ago only pretended to leave the island and actually stayed here, that would be hard to deny. I don't think Rosa-san is such a fool. If a servant who wasn't supposed to be here popped up in front of you, who wouldn't be on their guards? I'm not even sure would be assuming that it was someone she recognized. Maybe they suddenly attacked Rosa from the darkness and were about to steal their gun. Then Rosa fell, hit her head against a fence, and stopped moving. A guest house was nearby, and they wanted to avoid the sound of gunfire, so they killed Maria-chan with their bare hands. There's also that possibility. Still, even in that, if that is the case, would they really intentionally leave Rosa's gun at the scene of the crime? We don't know what the culprit's armed with, but they've got to feel insecure about our guns. Wasn't that a perfect chance for them to thin out our supply? Why would they intentionally leave it at the scene of the crime? At first, I thought that gun was a trap. That's what chessboard thinking says it should be. By purposely leaving it, they wanted to make one of us touch it, and they must have wanted to make us pull the trigger. I was sure that something dangerous had been done to it, to make it explode and cause massive injuries. But it was actually okay. The culprit probably panicked. He looks weird smiling like that. I'll bet that right now they're regretting that they messed with their chance to steal a gun. I don't like it. It ticks me off, like it's a message from the witch saying she isn't even scared of guns. However, in any event, this is truly a fearsome opponent. Even at a glance, they should have been able to tell that Rosa had a gun. To think that they attacked her despite that. The fact that they are afraid of guns should not be taken lightly. Indeed. It does not as Natsuhi says. We should probably be even more cautious than we have been. This is just for peace of mind, but at the time we think Rosa-san was attacked outside. Where was everyone? Natsu and I were here, along with Rudolph and Kiri-san. I can guarantee their alibis. Eva and I were together. I can guarantee that. George, Aniki, Jessica, and I were together when Aunt Rosa yelled at us to return to the second floor. We retraced our steps back to the cousin's room, all dejected. Back then, if we hadn't let Maria go, saying that isn't going to change anything. Dr. Nanjo? I was reading a book in a room on the second floor. I was by myself, so no one can verify my alibi. But I believe everyone saw me return to the second floor with the children. Once I say this, it'll never end. But what if you jumped out the window, attacked Rosa, then climbed back up using a rain gutter or something? Don't be absurd. How could I perform a feat such as jumping down from the second story or climbing up with this old body? Let us stop suspecting each other. It's more important that we trust each other, and, for the children's sake as well, defend this place until the very end. You're right. It's like Natsui-san says. For now, let's stop suspecting each other. Hello? Hey, Arlie. Welcome. That's right. We may be useless as far as searching for the culprit is concerned. We can only stay alive until tomorrow, inform the police, and follow their instructions. Because the police will definitely expose who the culprit is. Definitely, right? Maybe. Hey, welcome to the show, man. What is it, Eva? Is your body still feeling bad? Mother, what's wrong? Are you okay? Sorry. It looks like my fever is still strong. I'll be fine, so leave me alone. When they looked, they saw Eva staring at the floor, her breathing harsh again. She had been able to act firm for a time, due to the urgency of their situation, but it seemed her body wasn't at its best after all. Yeah, I killed those two. Now we're the only ones who know about the gold. I won't give up even a scrap to the other siblings. What have you done? There was so much of that gold, right? Giving Rose and the others their share wouldn't have been a problem at all, right? It would. That gold is to be passed on only to the head of the Ushimiya family. That's because it, as a whole, represents no more or less than the honor of the head. To wound that even a tiny bit is definitely not something that I, the new Golden Witch Beatrice, will permit. Do you plan to continue these murders according to the witch's epitaph? Do you actually plan to become a murderer 5 more times? Yeah. If I don't finish that annoying ceremony, it seems my power as a witch won't become complete. Hey, me. You have. The power of the witch is really awesome. It really can make all the crazy things you imagine become reality. The power to make dreams more than just dreams. Now that I've learned of this power, I can no longer stop being a witch. If I can finish the ceremony and make my power complete, I'm sure I'll be able to teach you that feeling too. Stop acting like a fool. Haven't you played at being a witch enough? We found the gold, and we've even been promised the position of the successor. We'll probably need to tightrope walk just a bit, but by now, that's a dream that will definitely come true. Beyond that, what more could you wish for? I wanted to become a witch. I don't give a damn about that dream. That's right. Because I kept holding on to that dream, I've lived at this age forever. When you become an adult, you threw that dream away. No matter how long you wait, the rabbit holding a clock won't visit you. And you won't be able to meet Humpty Dumpty. Of course, you definitely won't be invited to the land of cards. Because you gave up and accepted all that, you became an adult. So, you don't want to become a witch or anything like that anymore. You've even forgotten that it truly was your own dream at one point. Anyway, stop it. I've already got my hands on 2 dreams. The gold and the position of the head. That's more than enough. So please, your dream has nothing to do with me. Stand down. No way. Magic's too interesting. Also, those 2 dreams of yours both came true because of my magic. It wouldn't be fair if my dream didn't come true too. I'm grateful for your magic, and I acknowledge that you're a real witch. So just stand down and return to the inside of my heart. And never appear again. No way. We're both misunderstanding each other, aren't we? That's right. I am not you anymore. You are Ushimiya Eva. I am the Golden Witch Beatrice. So it's not my responsibility to go back inside your heart. I guess I feel like a butterfly who's broken out of her cocoon, meaning you. The fever is making my mind cloudy. My inexperience with magical power is forcing me to support it with your vitality. Until I finish the ceremony and become a full witch, you might have to bear the burden. I'll take that as payment for making 2 of your dreams come true. It's fine, don't worry, okay? For the remaining 5 sacrifices, I'll avoid your family. Let's see. Rudolph, Kiri, Kraus, Natsuhi. After that, what about that old geezer Nanjo? Perfect, I'll kill those 5 people. Could you call this a murder announcement, revealed only to you? Eva finally crouched down. Hideyoshi rushed up to her and lent her his shoulder. Oh cool, thank you for that. I'm glad it's entertaining enough. Are you okay? Let's take it easy and rest. Are you alright? Dr. Nanjo, take a look at Eva. When Nanjo and George started to approach, Eva made a gesture to stop them. Thank you. I'm fine, Dr. Nanjo. I'm taking medicine. I apologize for saying this during such an extreme situation, but let me rest a little longer. Mom, I'll lend a hand too. grow up and become boring normies. Well, you can grow old, but that doesn't mean you have to grow up. Thank you. But I'll be fine as long as your father watches over me. Go back to the second-story's cousin room and don't come out, no matter what. Understood? No matter what happens, you must not leave the guest house. Outside, that witch will... Don't talk anymore. Sorry, everyone, but I'll be watching over Eva in our room. Tell us if something happens. Hideyoshi and Eva retreated from the lobby. However, Eva wasn't the only one who wasn't feeling good. They hadn't gotten a wink of sleep since the previous night, and had been pressed by tension since that morning. They were mustering their energy to protect their families, but if they relaxed even a little, surely everyone would be down and out. Yeah, guys, get some sleep. It's really important. Alright, well, these videos are recorded if you want to take a shot and look at some of them. I've started up a YouTube channel as well, and so, at least from that point forward, I have recorded episodes you can browse through if you wish. But anyway, have fun with whatever it is you're doing. Thank you for stopping by, it's pretty cool. And don't be so down. We'll always welcome you here if you come back, when you come back. Anyway, have a good one. See you later. Everything has gone as planned until now, but from here on out it will become difficult, you see? Difficult? Meaning? Indeed. Normally, as the ceremony progresses and the victims increase in number, they begin to tighten their guard. And in most cases, they hole up in one place and stop moving. That is extremely inconvenient for us. Are you saying that we witches are inferior to a bunch of humans in a group? Witches are never inferior to humans. However, perhaps you could say that times change, and that humans have gotten their hands on a poison. This wasn't a problem long ago, when people believed in witches. But just like that annoying spattler, people in the current era deny magic on a fundamental level. In other words, their existence itself is anti-magical. As a result, at some point they grow to possess a toxin inside their bodies that denies magic. In other words, you're saying that the more humans there are, the stronger that magic-resisting toxin gets, and the greater the disadvantage is for us witches. The combined amount of power in their hearts that denies magic, in other words, their magic resistance power, becomes the denominator in the equation of your magic's power. Understand? Is that a bit too difficult for you? You're joking. Actually, I understand it easily. In other words, you're saying that the more people there are who don't believe in magic, and the stronger their will is, the more the effect of our magics are divided. Yeah, if it's so formulaic, I'll have to rethink my method of attack. Fundamentally, magic possesses a vast power. It can make even a rain of fire fall from the heavens or divide a sea, and reviving a lost life isn't impossible either. However, that power is extremely weak against the toxin that rejects it, and that toxin started piling up in humans since the time they forgot to respect things sacred. Until finally, this earth was covered with enough toxin that the miracles of magic could not be displayed. Thus, witches from across the world were chased from their dwellings. They had been forced to choose to throw away their magic and live as humans, or else live in hiding in remote areas where the toxin of humans didn't reach. In that sense, Rokkenjima, with its population of only a few dozen humans, was extremely favorable to witches. And even more favorable was the existence of a ghost story about the witch who lived in the Rokkenjima forest. In other words, by permeating the island with a fear that a witch might exist, the magic-resisting toxin from the humans was weakened. A small population didn't room for them to acknowledge magical beings. In other words, minds that were only weakly anti-magical. Only by existing in the valley where those two converged could a witch live in modern times. I see. So, using this formula, we can arrive at several rules for how a witch can use her power efficiently. The first is presentation. Create a murder scene that couldn't conceivably have been done by humans, decorate it in an occult way, make it look very much like a witch exists, and permeate people with fear to make them believe that witches exist. As a result, the anti-magic power and the denominator for our magical power will be decreased. I see. So this is why the creepy magic circles of the first Twilight were created. That's right, exactly. The gaudy scenes for the first Twilight in each game are all for that reason. It's definitely not as though I like being cruel or I'm doing it for fun. Definitely. In that case, Predecessor Sama, you failed this time around. You killed them in a very plain way. It doesn't look like anything more than a simple mystery. I heard about last time and the time before that from Ronove. You should have damaged the corpses more grotesquely, like you did then, making it look more like fantasy and instilling fear in those people. Well, about that. I thought it wouldn't be artful to do that every time, you see? Don't think too deeply on it. It's just a whim. Actually, it really had been her whim. After what Battler had said to her, she couldn't say it out loud anymore. But she really had decided her methods of killing based on mere whims. No, would it be better to say that she had half-heartedly let Ronove decide? After all, she left the closed rooms of this game's first Twilight to him. But if she'd had a cruel idea, then she would surely have explored the limits of atrocity even worse than in the previous game. You told me to show some restraint when deciding Rosa's and Maria's deaths, too. But that wasn't a course of action beneficial to us witches either, was it? In actuality, by now, none of them believe one bit that a witch actually exists. They're totally sure that it's a mystery, not a fantasy. This turn of events is a failure from a witch perspective. For some reason, you keep doing things in a kind of lukewarm way, Predecessor Sama. Like they say, things you learn when you're young will definitely help you out in the future. This is a test passed down on my predecessor to you. Take it on with respect. Beto tried to laugh heartily, but it was obviously the fake laugh of someone trying to cover something up. And the new witch shrugged with a sigh. At this stage, it's probably too late to create a scene and reduce the anti-magic power. In that case, there's another move. Getting the humans to split up should work. Indeed, that is probably the most effective way. The smaller the number of humans, the more the denominator shrinks. As a result, the magical power functions instantaneously. In other words, it all begins from one point: how to destroy this barricade situation and have them split up into small groups. However, they are already very cautious. The barricade won't be destroyed easily, right? Both the barricade in Kinjo's study 2 games ago and the barricade in the parlor last time were very stubborn. Furthermore, most of the cunning adults still remain this time. This situation is more difficult than all the ones before it, I understand. If you wish, I could give you some special advice. In a closed circle, when the first murder case occurs, the survivors always hole up, gathering together to observe each other and ensure their safety. Funnily enough, not only do mystery authors and murder culprits worry about how to break that situation apart, but so do witches who supposedly exist at the other end of the spectrum. For a while, the new witch poked her cheek with her pointer finger. And after acting as though she was planning something, she spoke. No, I'm fine. After all, it is a test. I won't borrow your moves. Really? Still, it'll be rather difficult to defeat this barricade, right? I've already made my move. I'm pretty sure it'll work. And it'll definitely work on someone smart. Is that so? You really are excellent. I'm pleased to see that my disciple won't be causing you much trouble. My motto is to study things myself before asking other people. Then, if you would excuse me, I have to wait for my prey to get lured out. Indeed. Well then, handle it with care. As the new witch lowered her head, her face blank, she turned into gold butterflies and vanished. Beato didn't look happy at all. She seemed to be lonely because of how little she was being relied on. Not one of them gives a fig for me. Any witch apprentice, acting so smart. I'll bet she makes some painful mistakes and starts crying. Then, without a doubt, she'll finally realize my greatness and beg me to teach her. Until then, I shall watch from on high. She laughed loudly on the outside, but a laugh no one can hear is completely pointless. Not quite. Beato gave up and quickly stopped laughing. Ranove chose that time to show himself. Excuse me, my lady. The game of the second twilight with Battler-sama has ended. I see. Good work. What was the result? My sincere apologies. I was forced to resign. By saying in red that both deaths were homicides, I made Battler-sama revise his claim that Rosas strangled Marie to death, then died in an accident. But I could not repel his chain of moves, placing Eva as the principal offender. Eva? Wasn't Eva sleeping in her room the whole time as Hideyoshi cared for her? He put forth the possibility that Hideyoshi was an accomplice, and that the two worked together to create an alibi. He even suspects Hideyoshi? Couldn't you have struck back by saying in red that he was in the guest room at the time of the murder? I also thought of that, but multiple important pieces might have been taken several moves later. And, because this move might be connected to the new Beatrice-sama's strategy, I acted out of respect to her. My apologies. Strategy, you say. Her mind does seem to be sharp. We can let her do as she pleases. It'll be quite a show to see how far she can go. I thought you would say that. I see that the uncuteness of your disciple has left you in a bad mood. That's none of your business. I wonder how that one plans to destroy this barricade going forward. I shall keep a close eye on her. Oh, and how was Battler's mood? It appears as though he had calmed himself down. He did say that he couldn't get fired up after all, without you as his opponent. Really? Well, that's no surprise. No surprise at all. If I don't return for the fourth twilight and after, Battler will probably be lonely himself. After that, if you would excuse me, I need to go bake some delicious cookies. I must at least enliven the discussion between you and Battler-sama, my lady. Indeed. That guy really was munching your cookies, wasn't he? It's no surprise that a boy can eat so much. Make a lot of them. Certainly. I shall make enough cookies to bury the table. That sounds great. What's going on? What did you want to talk about? Kiri called Ruloff out into the corridor. It was obvious that she wanted to talk about something that she didn't want the others to hear. Yeah? I want to go outside. What? What? Why? Certainly. The body cannot last with nothing more than a small breakfast, but... Of course, we understand. Still, as time passes, it'll get darker and darker out. It's probably at its brightest now. It's the most convenient time. That makes a bit of sense. Only about an hour has passed since Rosa-san was attacked. This is simply too reckless. It was only natural that Natsuhi was yelling about recklessness. After all, Rudolph had said he was going to the mansion to get food. Certainly, on top of their fatigue, their hunger was tormenting them. In the beginning, a mild level of hunger had been just what they needed to fight off drowsiness. However, it now just made their minds hazy since it was still only midday, and their bodies felt like they were reaching their limits. The thought of going to the kitchen in the mansion and bringing back some food certainly was attractive. I am opposed to this. It may be a little rough, but we definitely shouldn't leave this place. Don't worry about us, but it would pain my heart to keep the children hungry. I must be responsible as a parent. Dear, now that father's dead, you are the Ushima family head. It is not permissible for you to take on such a danger. You're right. It's like Natsuhi-san says. Cross-on, you should reign here as our leader. Then who will go to the mansion? I think it should be Kiri and me, and Hideyoshi-san too. Hideyoshi-san and I have guns. They shouldn't be able to lay a hand on us that easily. Rosa-san also had a gun, but she was attacked. Won't it be dangerous? When I went out to check on Rosa and Maria-chan, I had a gun, but I was alone. And yet, I wasn't attacked. Maybe they'll be cautious if their opponent is a man. That's poor thinking. We'll have 2 men, and even 2 guns. Those 2 will act as guards, and I'll transport our cargo using a cart. I believe the situation will be significantly different than it was for Rosa-san. If you're counting on me because I'm a man, I'd be happy to help. I may not look it, but I'm built up pretty strong from pushing food stands around. Leave the heavy lifting to me. You men can devote yourselves to guarding. There's a folding cart in the servants' room, and using that, I should be able to handle carrying the food. Of course, we'll be careful. And if we can succeed in this adventure just once, there won't be any need for us to take risks again. Is there any way I can get you to rethink this? It may be painful for everyone to deal with empty stomachs, but even so, we do not know what is happening outside now. We'll take care. And Eva's feeling pretty darn bad right now. We can't let her stay hungry. If her stomach's empty, she can't take her medicine. I have to go out for Eva's sake as well. How is Eva? Looks like she's finally gotten to sleep. She has a high fever. If we just leave her be for a while. You can't just stand still when it comes to your wife's health. Understood. I'll give you permission to go outside. Then, we'll take a little trip there and back. A speed contest. Canned food's okay, right? You at least have a can opener here, don't you? Yes. We have a can opener and a bottle opener. There's running water in the guest house, so we won't need anything to drink. We need to get 10 people's worth, so no being picky about what you get. Alright. Why don't we dash out and bring it back quickly? There's no time to open umbrellas. See ya, Aniki. I'll trust you to look after this place. Take care. Under normal circumstances, I'd want to go too. Being a man, I despise how the title of the oldest brother prevents me from lending a hand in an emergency like this. This is about the only time we get to show off. Sit back and take it easy every once in a while, Aniki. Okay, Natsui-san. Wait here and get some towels ready, or something. We aren't using umbrellas, so we'll be soaked to the bone when we get back. Understood. Take care. Rudolph, Kiri, and Hideyoshi, each leaving their own brave words behind, left the lobby. Never to be seen again. Or something. I got some itch on my nose that's really bugging me. Compared to the time Rosa and Maria had gone outside, the winds were much stronger. Rudolph's group of 3 people jogged to the rose garden without umbrellas, holding their guns in a folded cart. If everything had been still and quiet without the wind and the rain, they would probably have kept their ears open and moved with caution. But in this rain, even if some suspicious person was hiding nearby, it would be difficult to notice them. Because of that, it had been Rudolph's plan to instead dash to the dangerous area. If there was a chance that their opponent was equipped with a gun, then walking slowly with their guard up would only make them targets. Taking swift action was probably the correct choice. The Rose Garden. It feels like we're just asking to be attacked. Please, let nobody come out of there. Even as Rudolph and Hideyoshi continued to run, they looked around restlessly, vigilant of the surroundings. Rosa and Maria's deaths had not been caused by a projectile weapon. However, it was easy to suspect that the servants had been killed in such a manner. Will they come flying out of the dark? Or will they take careful aim and snipe from the shadows? Either way, they couldn't relax their tension for even an instant. But even so, when they reached the overhang in front of the entrance to the mansion and escaped the reach of the raindrops, they felt themselves breathing a sigh of relief. No problems for the first step, unlike how it was for Rosa-san. Maybe they can't get their hands on us easily. I'd like to believe that. Gary, unlock the door while we keep a lookout. Sure. Returning home to the mansion with a pair of SPs makes me feel just like an executive. If we had a welcoming party of servants with the red carpet, it'd be perfect. A welcoming party, huh? You never know. Be careful. Good thought. Thinking. Just be cautious. Just don't let your guard down. As the two cautiously surveyed their surroundings, Kiri unlocked the entrance with the master key she had been given. It's open. Hideyoshi-san, could you take the front? I'll keep an eye on the rear. Understood. Kiri-san, try not to move from my shadow. Okay, let's break in. Rear guard. Roger that. Covering. Nah, men. Even in a situation like this, you're just playing around, aren't you? Give it up. That's how men are. Seriously though, that stench is awful. It felt like the air in the mansion was stagnant with a gloomy silence, and on top of that was still thick with the stench from Kinzo's burnt corpse in the boiler room, and they were struck with an uncontrollable desire to leave the mansion. No problems in the front, just a short dash to the kitchen. Let's finish this quickly and head home. This suit'll get fumigated with Dad's stench. The three of them dashed towards the kitchen. And after they disappeared from the entrance hall, the new witch appeared there. They were lured out, just as planned. Just as planned, they got caught in my trap. The witch grinned. Thinking about it now, no matter how unbearable their hunger had grown, it hadn't even been a few hours since Rosa and Maria had been attacked and had lost their lives. In that case, why had they needed to recklessly leave the guest house? Until that question could be dealt with, the only answer was that they had been called out by the witch's magic. What reckless people! They'll never leave this mansion alive. Seal yourself, lock. Seal yourself, mansion. The instant she proclaimed that. The mansion was sealed off into a separate world. Unless her barrier was undone, no longer would anyone be able to exit this mansion or enter it. It's spectacular. To think that even though barely half a day has passed since you succeeded the Endless Witch, you can use magic this well. That talent surprises me. It's almost as though you were born a witch. Well, I have been a witch since the time of my birth. Who taught you how to blink? That's what using magic is like for me. What a fearsome person. The witch's face twisted with brutality. She just couldn't help looking forward to toying with someone's life again. Well then. First up is Rudolph and Kiri. But in what cruel way should I kill them? If you don't mind me saying, Your predecessor Sama has left instructions that you are to restrain yourself from committing murders of unnecessary cruelty. And there is an etiquette for offering the sacrifices from the fourth twilight onwards. For that, you must borrow the power of the seven sisters of Purgatory. Oh, really? Now that you mention it, that's right. I can only play as I like with the second twilight. Boring. Just when I thought I could play to my heart's content like I did with Rosa. But that only counts for how they're killed in the end, right? Meaning? I could just kill them however much over and over again, revive them, and then follow the epitaph during the last time I kill them, right? So, in the end, no matter how I play, it isn't a problem. Who'd act well behaved with an entertaining power like this? Her absurd argument was, for an endless witch, an extremely valid one. The etiquette that controlled the manner of killing the sacrifices of the fourth twilights and onwards was represented by lines like gouge the head. However, that referred to the way those people died in the end. In other words, in the process leading up to that, she was free to tease and kill them however she wanted. She just had to keep on reviving them, and follow the rules only when she killed them the final time. The Ronove felt that her innocent cruelty was part of her talent as a witch. He was beginning to notice an innately brutal side of her. They do say that apprentices are the most brutal of witches, and now I see this may be true. Do as you wish, is what I would like to say. But here, it may actually be wiser to show restraint. They have guns. Weapons with a high anti-magic power, such as guns, are the natural enemies of witches and demons. The witch stared blankly at this demon butler, who was surprisingly afraid of guns. That can't be right. Shouldn't witches be able to take a shot from a bullet easily? No. It would be just as fatal for a witch as it would be for a normal human. To prevent that weak point from being noticed, most witches rigorously strengthen their guard with the defense of protective barriers and furniture. Do I have any of those protective barrier things? Constructing a barrier to make even gun bullets ineffective requires much in the same way of preparation and ceremonies. I'm afraid to say that Beatrice-sama currently has none of those. Furthermore, you are currently ill-prepared to summon furniture strong enough to block a bullet. So even though I've become a great witch with this much magical power, I really do have to be afraid of lead bullets. It's annoying, but I don't have a choice. So in that case, should I call some furniture to act as my arms and legs? Yes. Leaving everything to your servants while not exposing yourself to danger is also a part of a witch's refined tastes. Beatrice-sama, leave this as a furniture and hide in a safe place. I get it. I call on the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. I don't care who, any two. Leviathan and Belphegor responded to the call. Leviathan of Envy, right here. Belphegor of Sloth, right here. Show me your power. Your targets are Rudolph and Kiri. Don't attack Hideyoshi. Come on, show me just how cruel you can be, furniture. My apologies, but we received orders from the predecessor to refrain from unnecessarily cruel actions. But I think the predecessor orders does give us some leeway to tease them. Do you still want to go through with it? I get it, I'll compromise. Don't let them die easily. Thoroughly corner them and let them taste the fear of death before killing them. Would that be okay, Ronove? Yes, depending on the degree. I do not believe there will be a problem. Then go. Yes, leave it to us. Your opponents are armed with guns. For those such as you, dodging them should be easy. But if you are hit, the wound will be fatal. Proceed with an appropriate level of caution. Don't worry, we aren't that incompetent. The two Sisters of Purgatory vanished. Ronove bowed and vanished himself. There are even rules on how to kill them. Why do I have to be constrained by my predecessor, Sama? It's so rigid and boring. As the witch looked up at the portrait of the predecessor Beatrice hung in the hall, she cursed. The three people had already arrived at the kitchen and were gathering food supplies. Considering the possibility of poison, they gave up on the alluring fruits and vegetables and gathered a whole cardboard box full of only the safe canned foods. It was very heavy, but by piling it on the cart, they could carry it well enough. This should be more than enough for 10 people to hold out until tomorrow's breakfast. That should carry them until the boat arrives. The 2 men were supposed to be focused solely on guard duty, but the weight of the load was tough on Kiri, even with the cart. Hideyoshi, who wanted to show off his power, switched to be the cart pusher, and Rudolph and his wife took up the task of guard duty. With all this, even George and the kids will be full. The trip back will be a picnic, so let's go. When Hideyoshi vigorously announced their departure, Kiri frowned and seemed to be gazing into the distance. There was a wall in that direction. No, never gazed to go through that. There was the main hall beyond it. What is it, Kiri? It's vague, but I've got a bad feeling gnawing at me. Kiri stopped walking and narrowed her eyes even further. Woman's intuition? In times like this, Kiri's intuition often rang true, even when she didn't have a logical reason. Rudolph believed in that intuition. Yes. Someone's probably waiting to ambush us. I didn't sense them before, but just now, I felt it. Just now, someone set up an ambush for us. And there's no reason to go back the way we came. There's a back door over there, right? Let's leave that way. Rudolph made to unlock the back door. When goods were carried into the kitchen, they never passed through the parts of the mansion the family came and went from. So outside the back door, there was probably a ramp used to carry things in. Surely they would be able to leave through there with the cart. What the heck? It's stuck. Damn, what's going on? Can't you open it? Nope. Is it broken? It isn't giving an inch. Rudolph tried various things, first using force, then coaxing it, but the lock was as hard as stone and didn't even budge. Don't force it. Let's leave through the front entrance. Right now, it'll be even worse if we stand around wasting time. You think this is a trap? I don't know. Be careful. With strained expressions, the three of them returned to the hall again and headed for the entrance. Who is it? The instant they exited into the hall, Rudolph noticed a suspicious shadow right in front of them and yelled. In that instant, a storm of gold leaves started blowing, and gold butterflies covered the area with a gold color. I can't believe it. A lowly human predicted our ambush. It isn't my fault. I was hiding my presence. Don't hesitate. Fire! The 2 guns spouted fire. The lead bullets blasted right through the magical defense of the pair as easily as though it were a wet paper wall. But the 2 figures that should have been there had disappeared. Certainly, guns were frightening objects for them, but there was no need to fear as long as they weren't hit. They at least had enough speed to dodge those. Wait a sec, you won't even give us a chance to say our names? This is why I hate humans. Leviathan was a full 10 meters from where she had supposedly been, popping her head out from behind the pillars in the shadow of the staircase and protesting. In accordance with Beatrice Sama's orders, we will hunt you down. Our orders tell us to make it some time and to tease you. You are free to resist, but know that it will be useless. That voice came from overhead. Belphegor could be seen on top of the hall chandelier, elegantly looking down upon them. She could proclaim their execution with a cruel smile. What are these girls? Forget the cart. We have 2 opponents, so if you split up, they can't chase all of us. No. All 3 of them were well acquainted with the inside of the mansion. In case of a crisis, they had planned to run off in separate directions, returning to the guest house by breaking windows or leaving through a back door. Fighting was forbidden, as long as they could fully escape. In a tight spot, escaping is victory. The three of them ran into the depths of the mansion at full tilt. The pair of furniture calmly watched them go. I'll kill the woman. You take the man. Understood. The furniture and the shadows of the pillars and on the chandelier made their figures explode, and, leaving behind only the sound of a hopping beetle knocking against the wall, they pursued their respective targets. Their speed was overwhelming, and they easily blocked the other's path of retreat. Let's see what this furniture's got. I hope they're at least able to amuse me. Beatrice-sama, it may not be prudent for you to reveal your form unnecessarily. And you don't unnecessarily move your king away from the center. That's part of a monarch's and a witch's dignity. Belphegor was already blocking the way in front of Rudolph, who had boldly tried to escape to the second floor. It's useless to try and resist or escape. You don't need to think about anything. Just close your eyes. I'll gently end it all for you. You'd make a good wife. Husbands love to hear that kind of thing when they come home all tired. To think you're still relaxed enough to speak with such insolence at a time like this. Beatrice-sama, thank you for this excellent prey. Die! Rudolph shot first. But even before that bullet could hit her, Belphegor had already moved behind Rudolph's back. She then raised a purple curve, springing out from her arm. However, incredibly, before that arm could decapitate Rudolph, he had swung his gun behind him. The barrel remained pointing behind his back, from the same motion with which he had reloaded the sawed-off gun, one-handedly. It was pointing right at Belphegor's chest. Click. Ka-chunk. It was the sound of the ejected empty cartridge finally hitting the wall after the reload. In other words, it meant that the next shot was already fully loaded. Without turning around, his gun pointing right at Belphegor's chest, Rudolph grinned. Not bad. For a middle-aged man. Don't look down on the generation that loves old westerns, okay? You brats don't know anything about the refinement of a lever action. Just like Rudolph, Kiri was also confronting a demon stake in the first floor corridor. What a moron. You could have just escaped with your husband. You do know that was your final farewell just now, right? Don't worry. This kind of thing is my husband's specialty. I'm sure he'll come for me on a white horse soon. Because he's never failed to come and save me when I'm in trouble. Not even when Asumu-san was around. What a happy couple. I'm jealous. I am Leviathan of Envy. Envy itself is my power, my anger, my lifeblood. I agree. Envy is the source of a woman's power. And if that is power, I won't lose to a girl like you. Imagine saying that to the one who governs envy. You actually think I'd let you two be reunited? I'll give you a tragic farewell. The arm Leviathan swung was trailed by a purple curve. It was a magic blade that cut with the power of malice. Kiri blocked it with her gun. Even though the magic blade should have cut through the metal like butter, the gun, with its extremely high magic resistance power, was able to block the blade as easily as if it were a rolled-up newspaper. Rapidly, 2 times, 3 times, it blocked all of them. Okay. Guns are good, I guess. And without missing the opening created with that purple curve, took a swing upward. Kiri kicked Leviathan in the stomach with her heel. Leviathan was knocked away like a lightly dancing feather. Before the demon's 6 feet touched the ground again, Kiri was already pointing her gun directly at Leviathan in midair. From that position, the two women had called envy a form of power, met each other's gaze. Can you do it? Can you pull the trigger? I can be brutal when my husband isn't around. Ow. Rudolph tumbled down the staircase. He'd been gradually cornered by Belphegor and had been pushed back into the main hall they'd started from. The predecessor Sama's furniture is pretty good. They aren't very flashy, though. Beatrice-sama, it isn't over yet, and it's dangerous to show yourself. Don't tell me you're Eva. That used to be my name, but it's different now, Rudolph. You don't have to tell me. You're gonna say you're the Golden Witch Beatrice, right? How did you know? Since the time Rosa was killed, I had a vague idea. Rosa, forgive me. Forgive me for sending the sister you hated down to the hell you're in. Beatrice-sama, look out! Rudolph mercilessly pointed the barrel of his gun at the witch who claimed to have once been his sister. But Belphegor would not permit that and attacked savagely. She dashed, disappeared, and headed for Rudolph's back. She dodged that shot and again headed for Rudolph's back. And vanished over and over, instantly moving into Rudolph's blind spots. It was almost like she was a fairy. As she blinked in and out of his vision, Belphegor instantly drove towards Rudolph. Maybe this is kind of fun. Rudolph, let me sit back and watch to see how long your brave efforts last you. At that time, there was a dull tearing sound, along with Rudolph's cry of anguish. Rudolph's reaction to the dance of the purple curve that passed upon him had finally been too slow, and he let it slightly cut his flank. That single wound slowed him down just once. That led to a new wound, which slowed his actions again. Belphegor's dance began to swallow Rudolph whole. Watching Rudolph's body gradually get carved up, his former sister let out a shrill laugh. Leviathan could no longer hide her irritation that Kiri hadn't suffered a single fatal wound. I really am a moron. Among the 7 sisters, I was always the slowest to grow. Even with Sloth? I was always slow, always weak, always stupid. That inferiority complex became envy. And when I convert that into power, I gain a strength greater than that of any of the sisters. It's important for young girls to have a moderate inferiority complex. No. It teaches women about cosmetics and hard work. I don't like having to use the limits of my power against mere humans, but I can turn my envy of your ability to trust completely in your husband into power. I don't like it. Why are you so relaxed when you're fighting for your life? I wonder. I get it. You're fully convinced that your husband will come to your rescue and save you. Isn't it incredible, that trust of yours? It's enough to make me feel jealous. What kind of trust did we sisters have for each other? The sisters are always looking down on each other, trying to thoroughly lambast each other when things already look bad. Galaxy brains all around. Big brain. I've always been bullied by my sisters. I've always wanted just one person to take my side. So when I see you with a single ally who's completely trustworthy, I feel the strongest envy. That confident expression of utter belief in your husband. I can feel it giving me power. I might even surpass that. The speed of sound. Leviathan turned herself into a stake, and the speed of her flight as she attacked was proportional to the strength of her envy. Since the day my sisters looked down on me, I was jealous from the bottom of my heart of the other 6, who grew quickly. I was jealous for 7 days and 7 nights. You can see the power I gained as a result of my speed. Die, Ushurama Kiri! The demon snake exploded, exposed her true form, leaping about at a terrible speed. The noise from her bouncing off the wall sounded like a machine gun. By now, Kiri probably couldn't tell if it was a single snake or a swarm of beetles flying and bouncing around. Leviathan was over 100% certain of her victory, believing in it from the bottom of her heart. Then, Kiri spoke with an unbelievably calm voice. I was the one who went out with Rudolph-san first. Asuma-san blatantly cut in between us, and truly got pregnant. I don't blame Rudolph-san. That woman used her body as a weapon to seduce him, and then acted even more repulsively, cornering Rudolph-san and forcing him to get engaged to her. Asuma-san had been carrying Battler-kun, and at the same time, I was also carrying a boy. As fate would have it, our delivery dates were on the same day. Then, Asuma-san gave birth to Battler-kun, but Dai had a miscarriage. I think about it sometimes. What if Asuma-san had that miscarriage, and I had been the one who gave birth? Would Rudolph-san have broken off his engagement and married me? But I couldn't give birth to my child. Until Asuma-san died, and until I got pregnant with Agni, I cursed Asuma-san and was jealous. Let Asuma-san die. Then, I want him to marry me. In my envy, I kept cursing like that, over and over, until Asuma-san finally died. I was certain that I'd use the power of magic to curse and kill Asuma-san. But that didn't quell the flames of my envy. Don't tell anyone, okay? Every time I look at Battler-kun, I remember that woman. Every single time I look at him. I think that if only my child had been born, he would be the same age. I'm still jealous of her, tormented by her. Even now, and from now on, into the future, for all eternity. You say you were jealous of your sisters for 7 days and 7 nights? That's right. Don't make me laugh, little girl. How could you understand the madness of a woman whose man was stolen from her, and who's burdened with envy for 18 years? If Leviathan had the power of 24 hours times 7 days, or 168 hours of speed, then the power that Curie had piled up was 24 hours in 1 day, 365 days in 1 year, and 18 whole years. Even without counting leap years, that was 157,680 hours. Compared to Leviathan's power and speed, it was more than 938 times greater. So then, even if Leviathan could soar at the speed of sound, 1,225 kilometers an hour, to Curie's eyes, it only looked like 138th of that. Which means 1,225 divided by 938 is a speed of 1.3 kilometers per hour. They say a human's walking speed is 4 kilometers an hour, so if it was even less than half of that, this is almost the same speed as a baby crawling on the floor. Which means... What's with all that math? What's the point of that? At the time it took the demon stick to move at a pace so slow that you could count all the bits of dust floating through the air, Curie looked at it with pity. She pitied the slowness at which it came towards her. Then, she lazily raised the barrel of her gun, almost as though she was trying to swallow the demon's stake up with a gun barrel. You're completely lacking in both romance and envy. Try harder next time, little girl. Rudolph, what happened to all that vigor from a couple seconds ago? You're supposed to slice up a fish while it's still flopping around. After it dies, it isn't interesting anymore. That's enough. Why not kill you now? Damn it. I'm surprised you managed to endure this long after being carved up. That's enough. From now on, you don't need to think about anything. I'll steal away your life painlessly. Wait, there's a favor I want to ask. At the very end, I want to do one of those. What do you mean, one of those? You know, that thing you see in all the westerns. We start with our backs together, walk through steps, and then bang. A duel. Very well. If that will satisfy your regrets in this world, I'll accept. Rudolph moved his wound-covered body and turned his back to her. Belphegor responded and turned her back to his. Belphegor had an honest nature that was uncommon in a witch's furniture. Let me warn you. Even if you press the barrel of your gun between my eyebrows, I can move it instantaneously, even faster than you can pull the trigger and have the bullets reach my skull. Yeah, I can feel that already. You're faster than a bullet. I have agreed to this out of respect for your courage in challenging me to a duel, despite that knowledge. Thank me. Well, you're an honest and principled person. And a good woman. You might just steal my heart away. Let's begin. 3 steps will do fine, yes? First, 1 step. 2 steps. 3 steps. Is that okay? Yep. And, that you still haven't noticed after walking 3 whole steps, it's my victory, miss. What? What? Rudolph turned around and fired a bullet. However, Belfegor could easily see the speed and trajectory of a bullet like that. It should have been no problem at all to dodge it. But a spray of fresh blood flew about. Belfegor had set up an adequate magical defensive barrier, but before an incarnation of anti-magic power such as that bullet, it was completely meaningless. What are you doing? Why'd you get hit? The bullet had hit Belfegor right in the chest. The pain from the lead caused her to grimace, as did the pain from the denial of magic. Forgive me. I'm a coward of a man. What a killjoy. To think that furniture of a witch could be defeated by a human. Know your shame. Worthless, pathetic. If only you just grovel and die. Quit it, Anarchy. She could have dodged it, but she didn't. She realized that you were in the line of fire, Anarchy. So this faithful girl took it without dodging, protecting you. At the very end, she saw that I was playing the rook and the king. Spectacular. Don't hate me for it. I planned to resign if you noticed it while you were taking those 3 steps. You added those 3 steps out of consideration for me, didn't you? I didn't even try to think about it. I was lazy. Well, you are a sloth, so that's how it works. You were a good woman. Go to heaven before me and get yourself all made up. I'll definitely come and chat you up. As Belfegor slowly fell over, she lost even the power that kept her in human form, and she grew small, like gold dust, melting into thin air. At that point, Kiri dashed in. It seemed that she had somehow defeated her pursuer by her own hands. As she pointed the barrel of her gun straight at the witch, she ran up to the wound-covered Rudolph. Are you okay? Were you chatting someone up just now? Yep, a good woman. No match for you, of course. Sorry, Anarchy. It's checkmate. The 2 of them pinned the witch down with the barrel of the guns. Worthless furniture. To think they'd be beaten by human opponents. Worthless. Stupid. Boring. Beatrice-sama, we should retreat for now. There's no furniture or barrier to guard against bullets here. The witch began to let out a muffled laugh. It surprised not only Rudolph and Kiri, but Ronove as well, because a situation like this, with 2 guns pointed at her, was not one that even a witch could just laugh off. But the witch laughed with pleasure. Well, it's only natural that the President or Sama's worn-out furniture couldn't do it. I need to get new furniture that's suitable for me. I use them out of obligation, but I've always hated second-hand stuff. As she said that, she looked down at Belfegor's remains, which had already finished turning into a pile of gold dust with disgust. I don't know what you're talking about. Be a good girl and put your hands up. No. Bang bang. Then the witch obediently raised her hands, but instead of raising her hands because the gun was being pointed her way, it looked more like she was a conductor facing an orchestra, waving her conductor's baton. Come, arise, furniture suitable for me. Not that cheap furniture, much stronger ones, cruel ones. Stop this bizarre act. I'll pull the trigger. Do it. Do it. That would solve your problems. In response to the witch's call, the hall was once again buried with the color of gold. As the brilliantly radiant gold butterflies danced, it felt as though they were being sucked into an ocean of gold leaf. Ronave was shocked at the sun's upsurge in magical power. After all, it far surpassed that of his former master. As their eyes were dazzled amidst the golden flash, a gunshot could be heard. Either Rudolph or Curie had fired a round. Then, when the golden flash subsided, at the very least, the witch was standing there, looking cool and composed. The bullet? Curie must have fired it into her, but the witch had not been hit anywhere on her body. There it is. The bullet had been fastened in midair, right in front of the witch's chest. A bulletproof barrier? In an instant, a barrier that would require a significant amount of preparation, even for the predecessor, had been... Ronave's face was twisted in shock. And the surprises did not end there. The cloud of gold butterflies had created two humanoid forms. It was a furniture summoning. The butterflies peeled off and flew away, and beneath them furniture in the shape of girls showed themselves. The Chester Sister Corps? Even the predecessor wasn't able to summon Pendragon's memorial troops on a moment's notice, and to do it so easily. Siesta 410, right here. Siesta 45, right here. You two are suitable furniture for me, I take it. From reading a picture book out loud, to going on a date, to shooting down meteorites, we'll take care of anything. If we don't take care of it, Pendragon-sama will get mad at us. Please, your orders, great Lady Beatrice. Rudolph-san, let's run for it. We're no match for these ones. Sure. Curie definitely heard warning sirens going off in her head, thanks to the same feeling that had alerted her to the ambush by the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. Without hesitation, they escaped. Pix and Lexi have appeared. Rabbit furniture, huh? As the witch elegantly watched them leave, she commanded her new furniture. This is an order. Kill the two who ran away. Then bring the corpses back here. I'll bring them back to life and play with them over and over. The witch's expression twisted into an evil smile. Even though she feared that expression, Lucifer appeared and spoke. Forgive my presumption, but the Predecessor-sama asked that you avoid brutal actions of that sort. When the witch stared at her with those terrifying eyes, Lucifer was struck dumb. She was frustrated. It was so boring not being able to let her own power and cruelty run wild. This annoying furniture the predecessor kept telling her to show restraint, bring her irritation to a peak. Oh, it's Lucifer of Pride. Long time so see, yeah? How you doing? Let's play together again sometime. You mustn't whisper, 410. You'll get in trouble. Let us carry out the great Lady Beatrice's order at once. Well, yeah, we are on the job right now. Yeah. 410, roger that. I'm preparing for sniping pursuit combat. Accumulating terrain data. Accumulating data for firing. Initializing data collection. Data linked with 410. 410. Data received. Who did... I can't read it backwards. Right. Data received. Target lock acquired. Commencing terrain calculation error correction. Formulating firing curve. Supplemental control point calculations complete. Data link to 45. Firing curve, that's what it is. 45, data received. Checking hazard zone. Ah, that's not good. Lucifer-chan, better get out from behind us, or you'll get roasted by the backblast. Thanks to their paired measurements, the Chester scissors were able to instantly calculate the terrain through the mansion and the coordinates of their targets, as well as the firing curve to reach them. That's right, their shots could be guided to follow a curved line. None could escape. The precision guidance used by the Seven Sisters of Purgatory was nothing more than a cheap knockoff of the ability these two held. 45. Firing preparations concluded. Ammo type selected and loaded. As the two of them faced each other, it was as though they were both pulling back a bowstring together. A dazzling gold arrow was ready there. 410. Nihi. Firing. After giving that announcement, they released a single arrow together. As the path taken by the gold sparkling snake of light drew the curve, it followed the direction that Rudolph and Curie had escaped to in rapid pursuit. It turned through the corridors, crawled over the floor, chasing them as it drew a beautiful curve. No one could block the guided shots of the Chester scissors. No one could escape from them, as their strength could pierce all physical and magical defenses. It was quite a merciless, skill-guided weapon of certain death. However, among mythical-class soldiers, it was a weapon used by pretty much everyone. It was very commonplace for them, and very extraordinary for those of the everyday world. Oh, what the... Well, he noticed something rapidly chasing him and turned around. The exact position of Rudolph's heart was pierced by the gold snake. It all happened in an instant. Rudolph-san! After the golden snake pierced Rudolph, it swooped down to the floor, drawing a beautiful spiral, coiled itself around Kirie's legs, and crawled up to her chest. And just like Rudolph, it pierced the exact location of her heart. And all of that happened in an instant. It pierced Rudolph, and then Curie. So they died, dropped to their knees, and fell over at almost the exact same time. What's this? Talk about overwhelming. Ridiculously easy, isn't it? This is the kind of furniture I need. Way different from predecessor Sama's second-hand furniture. Come on, bring their corpses here. I'll keep reviving them until I'm bored. I'll try killing them in as brutal a way as I can think of. Ah, to think being a witch could be so much fun. That taking a life could be so much fun. From the time humans are born, the most shunned action they can take is the murder of another human. It's only natural that humans can't understand how pleasurable it can be to break this taboo. But she was no longer a human. She was a witch. And there were some pleasures that only witches could understand. By now she had tasted those pleasures, and was totally immersed in them. After learning that the contents of the forbidden pot were honey, she could no longer live without them. No, maybe the contents were honey because they were forbidden. Anyway, by killing humans gruesomely, and doing it over and over, she could feel the drug-like pleasure even now. As the witch rolled over, laughing, the gold snake that had just been shot returned as though being reeled in. At the tips, two people were pinned and dragged along. You missed a very important scene and some interesting characters. The witch's order had been fulfilled. Rudolph and Curie had been killed instantly, and their corpses had been carried back. Meet some new characters. Jesters 45 and 410, ordered execution complete. We await your next order, Great Lady Beatrice. Please, your orders. From babysitting to playing online games with you, to shooting down a space shuttle, we'll take care of everything. It looks like these two are the sacrifices for the fourth and fifth Twilights. So in the end, I'll need those worthless 7 sisters. Or are they the 5 sisters now? I need those guys to pierce and gouge the forehead and the chest. But I can do that at the very end, and I'm free to play in any way I want until then, right? I think they're English soldiers from... I can't remember the name. Chester 45. Chester 410. I can't remember. They had a name. I can't remember where it was from. We'll have to rewatch the videos, and I can't remember. Or maybe ask Beatrice here. Wait. Have you already forgotten what I've told you? Oh, it's you, Predecessor Sama. Do you have any complaints? Of course I do. You're doing whatever you please, aren't you? Why haven't you followed my directions? What's wrong with doing as I please, Predecessor Sama? Anyway, I don't plan on deviating from the rules of the ceremony in the slightest. I'll definitely clean these two corpses up later and drive stakes into their forehead and chest. I'm telling you, that is not the problem. If you act so undignified and cruel, some people might take it badly. You mean your opponent in that game, the one you're supposedly fighting against somewhere? Renove told me. Damn that blabbermouth. Well, to be perfectly honest, that's how it is. If you go a little too far, that person will eject, you see? Why can't this person just complain to me directly instead of making you take a message? That coward. Well, this is a resident of a different world from yours. There's no choice but to use me as an intermediary. Well, that's beside the point, but... Which means that this person couldn't interact with me even if they wanted to. And I can't interact with them even if I wanted to either. Simply put, this is a completely unrelated person from a world that distant, right? Indeed. For example, perhaps you could say these worlds are like very close parallel lines. The distance between them is quite small, but because the lines are parallel, they will never cross. For now, that should be a convenient way for you to view that world. They never cross. Which means, that world has nothing to do with me. If you're speaking for that person when you tell me to show restraint, please pass this message on to them. To them? What should I say? It's none of your business, so disappear, you old hag. If only you just give up and die. Oh, I'm sorry. Since it was a friend of yours, I just assumed she'd be a woman. By old hag, I'm definitely not talking about you, Predecessor Sama, so please don't get mad at me. When she spoke, the witch was looking straight into Beato's eyes. Anyone present would be able to tell what she meant by it. Predecessor Sama, there's something I find really strange. Why do you have to play a game with someone from another world? And have him accept that you're a witch? Well, as to that, that's because making all humans accept the existence of witches is a prerequisite of perfect control. There is a single holdout who simply wouldn't accept me as a witch. Why would you need the approval of a human? Witches are witches and can use magic, so why should we need to be acknowledged by humans? Well, like I said earlier, magic is... I am a witch. I can use magic without anyone's approval in particular. So what's your point? In this world, right? However, since that person won't accept it, how should I explain it? I don't need you to. After all, isn't all this about a different world that never crosses this one? In other words, that world might as well not exist. You fighting a game in another world is absolutely no different from you telling me about stuff from your imagination. I'll say it again. It has nothing to do with me. And I'm already a witch. Predecessor Sama, somehow or another, it seems that you can't become a witch as long as this person doesn't acknowledge you. But I'm different. Even though no one has acknowledged me, I'm an excellent witch already. Since you are my predecessor, I will formally pay you respect. But that's out of kindness, not out of duty. I won't ask for your advice anymore, because I clearly know what I should do and how I should play from now on. So, I'll carry out the murder of 13 people as a final act of respect to you. However, there is absolutely no reason for you to interfere with the methods I use, or what I do afterwards. Therefore, I'll be counting on you in that regard. At a glance, those words seemed obedient, but they contained within them a clear parting of ways. She was no longer under Beato's care in any way. That's why she was clearly saying nothing more than, "Don't get in the way of my fun." Beato understood that, and was dejected, realizing that no matter how she explained it, she wouldn't be able to make the witch understand. I see. Then it is no longer my problem. Go and learn with your own body how magic ceases to exist when you lose your respect for it. I wish you'd tell me where the respect was in the carefree rampage of yours up until now. After hearing that, Beato could not respond, because she remembered hearing exactly the same thing from her teacher. Okay now. Siesta sisters? See off my predecessor on her way back. Predecessor-sama, please leave this place. If you don't, we'll be scolded. Throughout her body, Beato felt something unseeable from the Siesta sisters, which could only be described as an oppressive sensation. Most likely they were initiating firing calculations. It was an action much like taking out a gun and cocking it. Even Beato could not escape from the Siesta sisters' attacks without any preparation. In the past, she had placed her greatest trust in them, so she knew how terrifying they were down to her very soul. Predecessor-sama, if you would retire, I would not recommend damaging Beatrice-sama's mood any further. Predecessor-sama, I understand. I shall leave for now. I'll watch over the end you eventually reach at my leisure. It was almost infinitely close to a parting shot. So, after Beato vanished, the witch and her furniture doubled over laughing. Well, I do understand. I think I'll choose this as a parting spot. With a parting shot, I guess. Yeah, this is definitely gonna go well for everybody involved. Absolutely. But, this gives rise to... It's a really bad doodle here, but I've got a chessboard drawn out. And with the addition of those two, I'm blanking on, those two new pieces of furniture, that fills out an entire chessboard of pieces with people, if you play it right. With the human side, as Kinzo's family and the like, taking up the white side, and then all the magic ones, the goats, the Seven Sisters of Purgatory, Ronove, Beatrice, Eva, and then the two other servants. Yeah, fudge the numbers a little, but it fills out the full chessboard. And I was actually suspecting that there were going to be two more characters. Couldn't tell you who or what or where or when, but two more characters popped up, and that was the rest of the chessboard, which is pretty cool. My little scribbles here, didn't mark where they're at, but I kept it in mind. But yeah, here are the Chester 45 and Chester 410, I guess. A weapon in contract with Beatrice. 45 has a methodical and timid personality, as well as a fairly strong persecution complex. Thanks to that, she's well suited to shoring up the weakness of 410's rough personality when they work as a pair. She can't stand silence, so she'll often become emotionally insecure if she isn't being ordered around by someone constantly. 45 excels in search and decision-making capabilities. The support she provides doubles the combative force of her sisters. Chester 410, a weapon in contract with Beatrice. 410 is a kid with a strong personality whose peculiar style of speech tends to make light of people. She likes laughing at people who are serious or can never relax, which is why she's so fond of 45 and Lucifer. Her choice of words may be coarse, but she loves company and gets lonely easily. She gets depressed if there isn't someone talking with her constantly. 410 is particularly skilled when it comes to firing control, and she can wield unparalleled combative force, even in close-range fighting. But yeah, that's them, that's the new people. And I had the Goatmen, Ronove, Gilia as the So what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think the Goatmen were just the pawns, and I think I had Kinzo as the magical side. I'm trying to remember the bursts and pieces. But yeah, it made sense in my head, and I've actually got a bit of a headache right now since the little cold I told you about earlier. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go rest for today. It's gonna be weird, I guess. But anyway, yes, take care, everybody. Have fun. And be nice to people. It does everybody good. And listen to your elders. They know what they're talking about, at least in some regard. See you later. Till next time. Oop, wrong button. I want over here.